Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by the Topoco Lodge. Friday marks the 2020 grand reopening for the Lodge this year. They put a lot of work in over the past couple of months, and now you can enjoy the fruits of their labor. The Lodge, the cabins, the Topoco Tavern, everything open for the next several months. It's up there until winter next year. It opens up Friday. There is no better place in this area than the Topoco Lodge. If you've never been up there, I promise you will be impressed if you go. Whether you're just making a day trip to get something to eat, whether you're just wanting to see the place for itself, all of the outdoor activities they have, hiking, the rafting, kayaks, all of that stuff, the whitewater. It's a great place to go. And if you're going up there for a stay, you got the suites, you got the rooms, you got the cabins. They got it all. The Topoco Lodge. All right, guys, let's take a look at the SEC tournament bracket, if we've got that. Let's put this up there. I should have told my director we'd go to that right off the bat. All right, I realize because there's now 56 teams in the SEC, the bracket is spread out, which means the type is small. My apologies. But for those of you wondering, Tennessee plays the first game on Thursday in Nashville. They play against Alabama. UT's the 8 seed, Alabama the 9 seed. That is a 1 o'clock start on Thursday. The SEC says they're monitoring the coronavirus situation, but for now, gates will be open. People will be in there watching the thing. Alabama and Tennessee have played two terrific basketball games the last 2 years. They match up pretty closely with one another. Mark, and Tennessee got the better at Alabama this year by 1 point. Your thoughts on Crimson Tide as a first-round matchup for Tennessee?
Well, defining better basketball would not be by the way that first game was, because there was a ton of turnovers and it was ugly basketball. Tennessee was able to pull out a win, but in large part because Alabama turned the ball over 20 times. They shot a lot of three-pointers. We got 30 points in the paint. And so we got to pound that ball inside. We got to take care of the basketball. And we're going to have guys other than Fulkerson step up and make threes, because as much as you like to say keep driving into the paint, we're going to get caught up in that a little bit. But we got to have some guys that can knock down some jump shots.
I agree. It's when an 8-9 game by definition is anybody could win. It's kind of a toss-up. If you get that one, then Kentucky's waiting for you.
Right, and Rick Barnes, it's funny, we talked about in that first segment, certainly had his struggles with Bruce Pearl, but he's handled his own with John Calipari. I don't think, though, that Kentucky's going to be caught sleeping after you just came back from a 17-point deficit and beat them there in Rupp.
Well, it will be interesting with Ashton Hagans being out. He's out for a couple games for some personal issues or reasons. That's their point guard. That's their best defender player. He's a guy that is a better facilitator that allows Maxey and some of the other guys with more Quigley some scoring opportunities. So that can be a thing. I'd love to see them in the second round of the SEC tournament for Kentucky's second game, because it gets some of that question marks off the table. People are going to be questioning, can Kentucky win? And they'll be ready to go that first game. But I think Alabama. I think that's going to be a scary one for the Vols.
No, I agree. Yeah.
This Tennessee team, the program, and everybody knows this by now, they've been in the finals the last 2 years, but they haven't won the thing since 1979, when our old friend Don DeVoe won it in the first year back. It was the first year the tournament had gone away for several decades. It was the first year back. Haven't won it since 1979. We talked about it a little last week. I see no reason to think that this is the team. And again, if you'd asked me last Sunday, I saw no reason why this is the team that's going to go win at Lexington. So anything can happen in basketball. But I have no reason to think this team with this makeup, with its offensive problems, with its turnover problems, is the kind of team that can string 4 games together and win in Nashville.
Yeah, with the heavy minutes the starters are playing.
Yeah, lack of depth, like the point guard, it'd be not to mention the matchups.
Yeah. Okay. I wanted to mention something that Mark does for a good cause every single year. Let's go ahead and put up the graphic if we could. That's an NCAA tournament watch party presented by Northwestern Mutual, which of course you work for, Mark, and it's called Dining for a Cause. It supports, well, I'll let you do the talk.
Yeah, so ever since I was coaching, I used to get upset when my buddies were all watching basketball on Friday, not working the first Friday of the NCAA tournament. So I said if I ever got out of coaching, I would always do this, and it's kind of morphed into a bunch of people getting together, and now we just decided over the last couple of years to raise money for childhood cancer. So Carolina Ale House has been great in donating 15% of all sales between noon and 6. We'll go specifically to fighting cancer amongst children. So we're excited to watch some basketball and raise some money for a good cause.
Yeah, the Alex's Lemonade Stand Foundation. They do a good work, and you do a good work for doing this, and we'll tell you about it. We'll remind you about it next Sunday as well. But I've been out there the last couple of years. I know that the Sports Animal gets involved in that. It's a really nice event. You should plan to watch the Friday NCAA tournament games with Mark Pankratz and the crew at Carolina Ale House. All right, gentlemen, we're talking more football, so I'm going to let you guys clear out of here, but I promise you we'll have more basketball next week here, including a segment that you came up with last week that we're having to delay. It'll be a good one. More basketball with these guys next week. More football right here next. Come on back on the Sports Source.